A black billionaire was viciously humiliated, barred from his own private jet, and mocked as a trespasser on his own tarmac. With unshakable calm, he flipped the script, revealing himself as the plane's owner and the pilot's boss, unleashing a firestorm that obliterated the pilot's career when the truth hit like a bombshell. Marcus Hayes, 42, stood on the sweltering asphalt of a private airstrip in Savannah, Georgia, where gleaming jets shimmered like war machines under the brutal sun. Marcus wasn't here to flaunt anything, his charcoal suit, sharp but understated, shoes scuffed from a grueling day, a simple leather briefcase in hand. He didn't need to boast, just board his plane and head back to Chicago after closing a $600 million deal that shook the tech world. But as he approached his pristine Gulfstream G6 Fiat, his name etched in silver on the fuselage, the pilot, a smug veteran named Ethan Carver, leaned out of the cockpit and bellowed, "Get the hell out of here! You don't belong!" Marcus stopped, the Savannah heat pressing in. He met Ethan's glare, his voice low and polite. "I need to board this plane." Ethan's laugh was a venomous jab, cutting across the tarmac. "Who are you? Some nobody. Get lost before I drag you out." Marcus stood firm, his calm a steel wall against the storm of insults. He set his briefcase down, pulled out his phone, and when the moment was right, delivered a stunning reveal. "This is my plane, and you, Ethan, work for me." One call later, the tarmac became a battlefield, and Ethan would never forget that day. The morning had started in a Savannah skyscraper, where Marcus sealed negotiations for Hayes Dynamics, his AI-driven logistics empire. The deal merged his company with a global titan. He'd stared down executives who smirked at his meteoric rise. Marcus knew those looks. Born in Chicago's South Side, raised in a crumbling walk-up with no elevator, he'd taught himself to code on a cracked laptop, pitching to investors who saw his skin before his vision. Now he owned a private jet, penthouses in 3 cities, and a company reshaping global supply chains. But at 7:15 p.m., as the Savannah sky burned orange, none of that mattered. Ethan, with 25 years flying elites, looked at Marcus and saw only a target for scorn. The tarmac pulsed with tension. A ground worker, Tommy, lounged by a fuel cart, snickering, his radio crackling. 2 nearby technicians, wrenches in hand, sensed a show. Marcus spoke, voice soft but clear. "I'm a passenger on this flight. Please check the manifest." Ethan leaned out, eyes narrowed, his tone dripping contempt. "Manifest? You're not on any manifest. You're a fraud. Think I'm dumb enough to let a lowlife like you sneak onto a mogul's plane? Get lost, you piece of trash, before I teach you a lesson." Marcus didn't flinch. "I suggest you check with the tower," he said politely. "There might be a mistake." Ethan laughed louder, his voice echoing across the tarmac. "Mistake? I don't make mistakes. You're a lowlife pretending to be someone. I saw your cheap suit, acting like you belong. Get out before I call security to haul you off like the garbage you are." Tommy cackled, pulling out his phone to record, muttering, "Look at this clown. What a joke." A technician grinned, whispering, "Bet he thinks he's a VIP." Marcus stood like a mountain of calm under Ethan's raging storm. "You're making a mistake," he said evenly. "Call your supervisor." Ethan stepped out of the cockpit, boots pounding the asphalt, his 6'2" frame looming, aviator sunglasses glinting. "My supervisor? You think you can order me around, you worthless punk? I fly billionaires, superstars, not scum like you. Who the hell are you? Some nobody strutting like you own the place?" Marcus smiled faintly, barely perceptible. "I just need to board. You can help me, or I'll handle it myself," Ethan roared, jabbing a finger at Marcus's chest. "Handle it? What are you going to do, trash?" "I'm giving you 5 seconds to disappear, or I'll have security drag you out in cuffs, like the criminal you are." Marcus shook his head slightly, voice still quiet. "I advise you to check again." Ethan grabbed his radio, barking, "We've got a lunatic claiming he's a passenger on the G650. Send security, now." The radio crackled. "Copy. Security dispatched." Marcus didn't move, briefcase at his feet, eyes locked on Ethan. He wasn't angry, didn't raise his voice, just waited like a man who knew a hurricane was coming. Ethan kept attacking, pacing in front of the plane, his voice a torrent of venom. "Look at this guy," he pointed at Marcus, turning to Tommy and the maintenance crew. "Thinks he's someone, strolling in with a beat-up briefcase and a thrift store suit. You think you can fool me? You're a loser. I've dealt with wannabes like you forever. Acting special, but you're just garbage." Tommy laughed louder, holding his phone higher. "Yo, Ethan, roast him. This guy's a total fraud." A technician chimed in. "Must have watched too many movies, thinks he's a kingpin." Ethan wheeled back to Marcus, voice lower but sharper. "I've been here 25 years, flying people who actually matter. You're nobody, wasting my time. Get out, or I'll make sure you regret opening your mouth." Marcus tilted his head, voice still steady. Ethan faltered, caught off guard by the calm. "What? You challenging me? I'll show you." Marcus raised a hand, cutting him off, voice still polite but firm. "I'm not challenging you. I'm giving you a chance to fix this. Call the tower. Check the name Marquis Hayes." Ethan sneered, but a flicker of unease crossed his face. "Marcus Hayes? Fake name, pal. You think I'm wasting time on someone like you?" He turned to Tommy. "Keep recording. Let the world see how pathetic this guy is." Marcus shook his head, pulled out his phone, and said, still quietly, "I gave you a chance." He dialed Simone Carter, his chief of staff, who'd been with him since their startup days in a Chicago basement. "Simone," he said, "I'm on the tarmac. The pilot's refusing me, insulting me. Stop this." Simone's voice was a blade. "Stay put." Marcus hung up, crossed his arms, and watched Ethan. His calm was now a silent dagger. The tarmac simmered with heat and hostility. Ethan kept performing, but his voice wavered. "Who'd you call? Your mommy?" he taunted, glancing at the tower for security. "You think you scare me? I'll be here when they drag you off laughing." Tommy piled on. "This guy's an amateur actor, Ethan." "Bury him." Marcus didn't respond, just held Ethan's gaze, his stillness unnerving the pilot, though Ethan wouldn't admit it. The radio crackled, the tower's voice sharp. "Carver, check the manifest, now. There might be a mistake." Ethan frowned, but snapped back. "Mistake?" This guy's a fraud. Send security faster, Marcus said, voice still calm. You'll regret not listening. Ethan spun, pointing inches from Marcus's face. Regret? You're a joke. I'll be here when they cuff you, and I'll tell this story in every pilot lounge from here to Dubai. Marcus smiled faintly for the first time. All right, but before security gets here, I'll say it one last time. Check the name Marcus Hayes. If you don't, you'll lose everything. Ethan laughed, but it was forced, his eyes flickering. You're insane, Marcus Hayes? Never heard of you. The radio cut in, the tower's voice urgent. Carver, stand down, now. That's Mr. Marcus Hayes, owner of the G650. Ethan froze, his hand trembling on the radio. He stared at Marcus, mouth open, words failing. Marcus, still calm, stepped closer, voice low but heavy as iron. Now you know, this is my plane, and you, Ethan, work for me. Or rather, you worked for me. Ethan stammered. Sir, I didn't know. It was a mistake. Marcus raised a hand, cutting him off, voice still polite but icy. No mistake. You saw me, judged me, insulted me. You picked the wrong person. Tommy stopped recording, face pale, phone slipping in his hand. The maintenance crew backed off, silent. Security arrived but halted, eyes on Marcus with newfound respect. A rep, Carla, sprinted up. Jacket damp with sweat, voice shaking. Mr. Hayes, we're so sorry. This is unacceptable. Marcus glanced at her, voice still quiet. How do you fix this? Carla swallowed. The pilot's off the flight. He's fired, effective immediately. We'll find a replacement. Marcus nodded, grabbed his briefcase, and climbed the plane's stairs without sparing Ethan a glance. Ethan, now crumpled, face ashen, clutched his radio like it could save him. In the cockpit, Ethan was yanked out, replaced by a backup pilot. Carla, furious, barked orders. Ethan grabbed his bag, face red, muttering curses as he stormed off. The tower relayed orders from Richard, the aviation firm's CEO. Ethan's license was flagged for misconduct. He'd flown the world's elite, but reckless choices ended it all. Tommy stood on the tarmac, frozen, his bravado gone. He was warned. One more slip. He's out. The maintenance crew stuffed phones and pockets. The show was over. Carla's voice came over the intercom. Mr. Hayes, we're cleared for takeoff. Apologies for the delay. Marcus buckled in, staring at the tarmac as the engines roared. He wasn't thinking about Ethan. He was thinking about every time he'd been here. The Chicago bank that laughed at his loan application, the San Francisco conference where someone asked if he was the driver, the Atlanta gala where a staffer pointed to the service entrance. Each time he didn't yell. He built. He won. He kept moving. The plane climbed, Savannah's lights fading below. Marcus opened his laptop, typing a memo to Simone. Terminate the aviation contract unless they overhaul training. I want their board in my office next week. He sent it, leaned back. The cabin was quiet, engines humming. A flight attendant, Mia, set a bourbon on his table, her smile cautious. Anything else, Mr. Hayes? He shook his head. I'm good. She vanished, leaving him with the night's weight. Marcus wasn't hurt or angry at Ethan. but at the system that let Ethan think he could humiliate him. It wasn't new, just louder. A slap he'd felt since he was a kid in Chicago, dodging cops, who saw trouble, not potential. Today, he turned that slap into reckoning. But it wasn't enough. He wanted the world to feel it. Pilots, executives, systems betting against him. When the plane landed in Chicago, the fallout was seismic. Simone called again. Richard and the aviation firm were in chaos. Ethan's firing went public. His name, toxic. In private aviation, Richard flew to Chicago at dawn, meeting Marcus in his glass office overlooking the loop. Marcus sat, the skyline framing him, while Richard pleaded, offering new pilots, cut rates, anything. Marcus didn't blink. You've got 60 days to rewrite your hiring, your training, your culture. I want proof, or we're done. Richard nodded, tie askew, and left, knowing one misstep would cost him millions. Marcus didn't stop. He called his team, Simone, his COO, his PR head, and laid out a vision. Hayes Dynamics launched a $5 million initiative funding tech boot camps for Black and Latino youth in Chicago, with Marcus mentoring the first class. He'd teach them to walk into rooms where they're not wanted and take the damn table. He sent a consultant to the aviation firm, not to fix their mess, but to ensure they never forgot his name. No more Ethans, he told Simone. I want people who see before they judge. The story didn't go viral. Marcus didn't need clout, but it spread like wildfire through corporate halls, aviation circles, yacht suites, where his name became a warning. The aviation firm revamped training. Richard personally vetted pilot rosters. Tommy was demoted to night shifts, his attitude checked. Ethan vanished, flying cargo planes in rural Ohio, his wings clipped. A cautionary tale in crew lounges. 2 weeks later, Marcus returned to Savannah, landing at a new airstrip. Carla greeted him, tablet in hand, her nod warm. Good to see you, Mr. Hayes. Plane's ready. He boarded. The familiar sandalwood cabin, his name on the seats. It felt different. Not because of the pilot, but because he'd turned humiliation into a movement. He'd made their doubts a mirror, forcing them to see their flaws. As the plane soared, Marcus stared at the city below, lights pulsing like a heartbeat. He thought of the kids joining his boot camps, the pilots who'd hesitate next time, the rooms he'd own tomorrow. He wasn't naive. Knew the world wouldn't bend easily, knew he'd face another Ethan, another Tommy, another moment where he'd have to rise above, but he was ready, always. His phone buzzed. Simone. Boot camp live. 200 applicants. He typed back. Double the slots. Then he closed his eyes, engines roaring. A reminder. He built this, and no one could take it away. This is for everyone humiliated, told they don't belong, forced to prove they're enough. Stand firm. Build your empire. Make them choke on their mistakes. If this story lit a fire in you, share it far and wide. Let's keep this flame burning.